The LV6548. This is what's in the box. We got the cover and everything's labeled nicely. Remove this before installing cable glands. There we have the cable glands, and you'll notice that there are parallel kits as well. The cable, that's a current sharing cable that's only used in single phase mode. You don't use this in split phase mode. This is always used when connecting units together in parallel. That's a communications cable, RS232, and it's to an RJ45 jack. You'll notice over there, this cable over here is used for connecting to your computer, okay, via RS232. There's also a little miniature USB port over there, and I'll get a clearer picture of that. And there's your BMS communications, and there is your generator start relay, normally closed, normally open. I use these for many other things besides generators. I need to make more videos to show all the little tricks that can be done. And then there it's got two MPPT inputs, PV1 and PV2, and 250 volts maximum on each pair, and a maximum of 24 to 28 amps each. And there we have a port for a remote display. This whole unit over here, this little remote unit, can unplug, and it plugs into this little port over here. And it has a built-in Wi-Fi module as well. I get asked this question a lot, is that where are the specs on the inverter? Always on the side over there. It tells you everything. So you'll notice that it has a few things over here. Obviously, that's the model number over there, white and black, the temperature range. Rated power 6.5 VA, 6.5 kilowatts. This can do twice that for 5 seconds. So 13 kilowatts basically for 5 seconds it can do. DC input current, that's the maximum current from the DC battery, 153 amps. So then a 200 amp breaker is a good thing, okay? And they want you to use 2-aught cable with a branch connector rated at 200 amps. And that's the AC output is 54 amps at single phase. And they want you to use 4-gauge wire and a 75 amp protector on the output. The maximum fault current is 125 amps. So 125 amp breaker on the output is probably just fine. AC charge mode. 54 volts DC. So this is the charger from the AC. We've got a solar charger as well as a AC charger. So the max charging amps is 120 amps. Okay, so 120 amps at 54 volts. So 120 times 54 is probably just over 5 kilowatts of charging. So remember that when you are also supplying your load, this thing can also be charging the battery at up to 5,000 watts. So therefore you have to worry about your breaker coming in is not only supplying the load but also supplying the charger. Okay, there's all your specs for AC output. Now solar charger, it's got 4,000 watts times 2. Nominal operating voltage is 223 volts DC. Maximum open circuit is 250, and that 223 means that's the optimum. Okay, so you see the maximum input current is 18 amps times 2, and the short circuit current is 22.5 amps. Now MPP Solar has told me that this can go up to 23 amps over here. So people often ask me, how do we get 4 kilowatts at 18 amps? Well, it's quite simple. If we are operating our panels at close to 200 volts times 18 amps, which is basically two sets of panels in parallel, is 4,000 watts. 200 times nearly 20 is 4,000. So that's how that number is obtained. So to open this unit up, basically those screws at the bottom over there to get to the wiring panels, over there, and over there, and over there. Okay, then we can take the cover off. And be careful, don't pull too hard, because the communication cable is connected to the front panel over there. Okay, So you can't just pull it apart like that. So these are the batteries, and many people ask me, where is the labels for the positive and negative battery terminals? There they are right there, positive and negative. Okay, that's for battery. Then AC output speaks for itself. And then PV input we've been through before. Okay, this is where the parallel cables connect to. We remove this little cover plate over here, and this is where the glands get installed for the cables, for the battery cables. And these are also glands installed for the AC cables over here. So I'm going to do as little damage as possible with these. Might leave these stickers on, but you notice these glands, I've said before, go into these holes. These holes, if I can show you from the inside, look like that. And then, then the cover basically goes right over. This is for the battery cables. Over there, and you can see there's holes in there as well for the glands. This obviously doesn't go there because there's no mounting holes for it. So today we're going to show you how simple solar really is. We're going to run this unit without batteries. I've got my trusty trailer over here. We've got the sun is still pretty cloudy out there today, so I don't expect too many things until that clears up. But we're going to put 4 panels in series. These are 370 watt phono panels. I'm going to put 4 in series onto the one input, and there's another 4 in series over there onto the second input. And here are the specifications of these panels, and you'll see that 370 watts, and the open circuit voltage is 48.12. So we don't want to put 5 in series, because 5 in series is going to be pushing very, very close to our 250 volts open circuit maximum. So 4 in series is where we're going to be. 5 in series is fine for places like Florida, Bermuda, Mexico, etc. But not for cold climates, because the colder it gets, the higher the voltage of the panels get. And we don't want to exceed 250 volts. Okay, so you can see it's a bit overcast right now. The sun is behind a cloud. But we want to get the polarities of these wires correctly. So look, we do things pretty dangerously over here. I want you to be safe. So here's the set of cables from the new solar panels. Okay, let me just get in the shade over here. I want to show you what happens. Okay, this is no joke, all right? So I've got a piece of cardboard over here. I'm going to show you. Easily start a fire. If I had it the other way around, obviously, if I use. So, one way to start a fire is your solar panels on your camping trip. You can see that copper is really glowing red hot over there.
Whoops, I missed it.
Okay, even melted. Okay, I'm going to strip these wires again. But these are the panels that are in the sun, that are the new panels, the wires for these. I can do a voltage test on there. $175 volts. Okay, so I'm going to just make a note and put a kink in the wire that's positive. And for next time, and this set of wires over here, also at 171 volts. So these are the broken panels, but they also have a different type of panel in the middle of them, between them. So let's see what the short circuit amps are. I'm going to put my ammeter there to DC amps. I'm going to zero it. Okay. Then I'm going to put one wire through and the other wire there. And we're going to see we get 3.8 amps right now, short circuit current, and you can see the sun is behind the cloud outside. So 3.8 amps for the new panels, and these are going to be the broken panels. We're getting actually 4.6 amps out of the broken panels. So perhaps the angle better in the sun or so. Let's give that a try again. 4.8 amps. Quite fascinating actually. So it shows you a panel that's where the glass is cracked. Nothing wrong with them if you can get them for a good price. There we go, we're getting 4 amps as well there. So almost the same output. Okay, so now I'm going to strip these wires. And what I didn't do over here is to see which one is positive and negative over here before I connect it in. Okay, so this is positive over here. I'm going to put a kink in the positive wire. Okay. So this is a 4-2 combiner box. Okay, which means that it has 4-2 combiner box, which means that it has got 4 inputs going to 2 outputs. In other words, 2 inputs to 1 output. So these 2 inputs over here, positive, and it's matching negative, and it's matching positive, and it's matching negative, are tied to this breaker over here. Okay, and these 2 over here, from number 3 and number 4, and the negative of number 3 and number 4 are tied to the output of this breaker. So what I'm going to use is, on the left hand side, I'm going to wire this to the first input on the 6548, and the right hand side I'm going to wire to the second input, PV input, on the 6548. Okay, I have these wired up over there, positive, and I'll skip one, and you'll notice that the LEDs match as well, showing you that there's power there. If I pull the fuse, LED goes off, so just to prove to you. And so now we're going to wire the output up to the inverter. And what I have over here, I just have some MC4 cables that I have cut off some older panels, and I'm going to wire these wires into the output of the breaker. And you'll notice it says positive and negative. I've got some positive and negative over there on the output. Don't follow those, obviously, because this positive is connected via a jumper around the back, so that you've got double arc gap, and this is actually the positive side as it shows on the label. And obviously the PV positive on the inverter, this is the wire, I've just done one for you right now. I'm going to go to the positive side over there, and the negative of this is going to go to the PV negative over there, and we connect the same pattern over there. So this test, we're going to be running a few things. So this is a batteryless. This is a batteryless test. I want to keep everything open so I can show you. We just wired a little extension plug. Please don't do this. This thing's rated at 50 amps. I'm not going to put any 50 amp loads on here now with the battery. We're just going to run off solar only. I'm first going to show you what happens if a solar is not enough. So I'm first going to connect just the 4 panels in series. I'm going to just throw one of these breakers up here, and we're going to do some tests on a saw, cutting some wood. I've got a chop saw over there. I've got a plasma cutter. We've got a welder. I'm going to show you all the things you can do with just the sun shining. Okay, so 4 370 watt panels in series. That is about 1200, but just under 1100 watts per side. So that's 2000 watts for all 8 panels. And we're going to run some tests. So this is the first time this inverter is now going to be turned on. So I'm going to just lift the cover up there, drop that down, okay, and I'm going to flip the switch, and you'll see straight away the inverter comes alive. So, sorry for the reflections, but that's what happens when you do things in the sun. Okay, so it's telling you right now there's no battery. That's what that warning sign is, but it's showing there's 120 volts output. So now, just with 4 panels and a partially cloudy day, I'm going to try and start this table saw. Okay, so now we're going to try and run the angle grinder with just one single circuit. This is a 500 watt angle grinder. I'm worried about the starting current though, with 1000 watts of panel. Let me just okay, so let's hit that angle grinder. That runs fine. We'll give it a try cutting something though. So that managed to start that angle grinder, no problem. So that's running with 1000 something watts of solar. And with a tiny blade, obviously you can see put some load on there. So you can pretty much We're on a small shop. So running now with one set of panels and a heat gun. If I put it on the lowest setting, it runs fine and then it trips. Okay, so I'm going to put both panels on now. So there we're running the heat gun straight from the inverter. No batteries connected. Maximum heat. You can see it's glowing red in there. Full. That's low heat. Maximum heat. And this heat gun is 1,500 watts. You can see there. A little focus on that. So that's amazing. Just running with the sun shining out there, running a heat gun on 1,500 watts, glowing red with no battery. Okay, so your little trailer or your house or so on, if it really hit the fan, you could run your fridges and freezers just from a few solar panels out in the field. Don't even have to make a bracket for them. So now I'm going to try a welder. It's on 2 and maximum current. I'm going to try that with both sets of panels running. Okay, so obviously I'm not wearing a shield. I just want to see if it does off. Oops, that tripped. So I'm going to set that down to minimum. Let me just pause it there. Now I've set my current down. So, recording.
Go.
Okay, so now change the settings to low. Check over here. On number 1 and minimum, because we just got only 2,000 watts of solar. So now, and it's almost, the sun is pretty full, and so now we're just going to try and weld. Okay, I'm not going to look at the arc, obviously. I'm just going to. So there we're welding just off solar power. Isn't that amazing? Okay. Okay, so now I've put 5 panels in series, and let me show you what the voltage is over there. 5 panels in series, getting 220 volts now. Let me show you what I've done. I've just thrown an extra panel. There's 4 in series over there. Just thrown an extra panel on the ground. And the same thing over there. Okay, just showing you how easy solar is. Okay, I'm going to turn this on. And I want to see if I can get the saw to start. Now the sun is higher, and we put those extra 10, there's 10 panels there now lying on the ground. No utility supply, all right. That extension cable goes right to the table saw over there. That inverter can run. So run that table saw now. Just on solar. And to prove to you it's running on solar, if I turn the combiner box off over there, you'll see. Here's something that I'm rather surprised at. There's the plug there. Let's leave it up here to prove to you guys that this is the chop saw, and that also starts just with solar. That's incredible.
Okay, start.
Okay, so we're going to connect some little batteries. We've got some 48 amp hour batteries over there. In series, four 48 amp hour silicate salt batteries. They've got a huge surge current potential, no BMS on them, so there's nothing to trip. And obviously the pencil method, you know, before you connect, all right? You can do it on either polarity, but the pencil is about 8 ohms sharpened up. You see a little spark there? And you can put it straight on the inverter after that. I had the inverter turned on, bad boy. But so I'm going to have to redo that again because I never took the nut off. So make sure, and obviously the inverter was still turned on. We turn that off, and let's do that again. Pause that. Alright, so let's do that again with the nut off this time. So you see that little spark over there, and straight away we connect it on, and then we can stick the nut on. People that say they're scared of 48 volts, there is absolutely nothing to be scared of 48 volts. Be scared of solar volts. Solar volts will kill you without you even thinking. Battery voltage, 48 volts, yes, everybody's going to go, but there is nothing there. You know, we pretty much been raining all the time over here. It's pretty sweaty, but 48 volts, I can feel maybe, if I concentrate, I can feel something, but there's really nothing to be scared of with 48 volts. Okay. The test we're going to do now, keep the camera like that. The test we're going to do now is I'm going to turn all the solar on, okay, onto the unit. I'm going to have no utility power. That's fine. You have no utility power, only batteries, those little Mickey Mouse 48 amp hour batteries over there. And we're going to start everything. So we're going to have solar supplying and compensating with the battery, okay? So I'm going to turn the vacuum cleaner on first. Then I'm going to turn the saw on. That's quite impressive. I'm going to show you something magical. I'm going to show you how many amps are coming from my battery. Right, I'm going to zero that. I'm going to leave it somehow. I don't know if you can hold that with one hand. Okay, you keep it on there. I'm going to turn the vacuum cleaner on. So that's charging now with 3 amps because these batteries are fully charged, so it's just kind of topping them off from the solar. I'm going to turn the vacuum cleaner on. You can see the surge comes from the battery. And then nothing, right? Then I'm going to turn the power saw on, watch the surge. Okay. And then it's drawing nothing from the battery. And then I'm hit the top saw as well. And you can see now that the load is greater than the solar panel. So it's pulling 15 amps from the batteries over there, because the load is greater than what the solar is giving out. And you can see also that the sun is behind the cloud. Have a look over there. So this LV6548 is actually a fantastic machine. Absolutely fantastic. So with all those appliances going, only pulling 2.2 kilowatts. But the startup current is huge. I have all the solar turned off. There's no solar coming in at all. And this is how many amps that inverter pulls from those 48 volt batteries, 1.29. So that's roughly 40, 60, say 60 watts of standby power while the inverter is running. Obviously, if you turn the switch off, then that is the charging current, and those fans turn off in a second. That'll be the standby current, and the unit will still charge from the sun with that switch being in the off position. It just won't invert. Alright, so now the fans have turned off and it's waiting for solar to show up. So very, very little bit of power. It doesn't even show on the meter. And the moment I put the solar power back on in the combiner box, so it's drawing nothing there, and very shortly it'll start to charge the battery. After that it'll beep, and there we go. And the battery's fully charged already, so just a small amount of current going into there. People don't understand that, is that when the battery is fully charged, no matter how big your solar panel array is going to be, the batteries cannot take anymore, so you cannot keep charging with 100 amps. The battery's got nowhere to put it, so it does slow down towards the end. This LV6548 is actually a fantastic machine, absolutely fantastic.